like the rising sun. Three little birds by my doorstep, singing sweet song. What's up, everybody? Good morning. Hope you guys had a fantastic weekend. It is currently Monday, January 12th, 2026. We are back for our weekly Southwest Florida market updates. Hopefully I'm not lagging at all. My screen looks a little... I think we're all right. Sorry if I'm a little buggy at all. I'm going to try to fix that, but it looks like a little jumpy. But anyways, we've got our weekly updates this week. Key point this week, mortgage rates are at a 30-year low, which is awesome. Average rate right now on Mortgage News Daily is about 6%. That would put a lot of the lending partners that we work with in the mid to low fives. That's before credits. Now we could potentially even, depending upon what kind of loan you guys are getting, especially with like an FHA, loan that gives you guys more credits that you guys can put towards rate buy down, closing costs, that kind of things. We could definitely potentially even get you guys in the really low fives, high fours, just with these current rates. So we're going to get into that in a minute. Absolutely beautiful out today. There's a couple clouds in the sky, but not terrible. It was really, really nice this morning. Really blue skies up until about noon, 12:30ish, and then we got a slight little overcast. Today the high is 79. Tonight it's going to get down to 62, and for the rest of the week it's going to be absolutely gorgeous. We've got one more day here where it's going to be high of 80, low of 63, and then we get back into that beautiful winter weather that we love. This is like my favorite time of the year. We've got 73 for the high, 62 for the low, and then moving through the next couple days, we're going to be getting pretty chilly at night, at least for us. I'll probably have a blanket or some hoodie on or something. Definitely gets cold for us. 40 degrees on the low on Thursday nights, and then the rest of the week's going to be about mid to high 40s in terms of the low, and then we're going to start working back up a little bit. But it really looks like we're going to at least get a couple weeks here. I mean, for the most part, January is really nice. We're going to have a couple days where it gets back up to kind of like today, 79, 80, but then we're right back into that mid-70s. Gorgeous weather. Like I said, this is really my favorite time of the year here. I love it. I look forward to it all year. You can keep all the windows open, drive around in the car, keep the windows down. Really, the other really cool thing, too, is, the winter time, we've usually got really clear skies just because we don't have as much, sun out, not as much heat, not as much evaporation, creating rain clouds, that kind of thing. So 90% of the time here in the winter, you've got really, really beautiful weather, really beautiful skies. You can still go to the beach. You can still go out on the boat. Tons and tons of things to do. So let's get into the actual update now. We've got our 30-year fixed mortgage rates. Like I said, they are going to be at a 30-year low. This is over the course of the last 5 years, so I just want to show you guys that real quick. Obviously, rates were super, super, super low 2020, 2021. We started to see them climb up very substantially. The last time that we had rates that were this low was in 2023, February 2nd, so it's been about 3 years. Those only went down to right around 6.07%. Actually 5.99%. So it's been since February of 2023, basically 3 years now, that we've had, high rates above that amount. We went up for the whole year for the most part of 2023, started to get some relief, and then we've been, on a downtrend down. Let me go ahead and zoom this in a little bit, but as you guys can see, we're definitely starting to continue to see that slip down. On the next page, which we're going to check out, which we've definitely been checking out, this is the bond market. Typically, the bond market and the mortgage market play into each other very relatively. So when you see a bond market dump, that usually corresponds to a mortgage rate dump. The thought process there, I mention it, kind of every week, but basically the banks, if they want to just go ahead and get, almost risk-free government bonds, they can do so right now at 4.181%. So they've got to obviously make more than that if they're going to give you guys a mortgage in terms of, just invest with the government directly. So that's where they kind of make their spread. That's where you'll see, the government bond rates at 4% and the mortgage rates at 6%. That's that 2% spread for them. Obviously, that's that 2% spread for them taking that risk. Hey, don't bother your brother. No, no. Sorry, guys. Um, but right now, we've definitely been seeing a little bit weird price activity. We've been seeing the bond market kind of hold at this upper range that we've been looking at. It still seems to me like it's going to bounce off this resistance line right here, but we definitely haven't gotten the bond market drop like I would expect with the mortgage rate drop that we've got. I know that they recently sold or bought like $200 billion of mortgage equities, so that dumped the rates a pretty good bit. I know they're also, pricing in for the next couple months some more rate drops at the Fed, but seeing that not actually correspond in the bond market is definitely a little bit concerning. That, to me kind of shows that it's artificial mortgage rates, kind of, artificial things holding them down in terms of actually classic price action. Moving along from that, this is really interesting this week. So median sales price is down as well, which typically does not really happen in the snowbird market. We usually have a tiny little bit of adjustment. As you guys can see from last year, from the first week of January to the second week of January, we went down. Even into the third week of January, finally got a little recovery there. But this week's median sales price of $315 is the lowest that we've had all year. I feel like if we even extended this out a little bit further, it's probably one of the lowest that we've had in a couple years. This is on the monthly scale, but yeah, we're definitely not seeming like we're trending in the right direction. But here's the interesting thing. When we go back to the weekly report, if we do filters on this, it seems like the condo and townhouse market and potentially multifamily market are getting hit the hardest. If you guys look at the median sales price for single family homes only, that's actually been up the last 2 weeks. So single family homes are still selling at great prices, it seems like. But then when we go to the filters, we take off single family, we go condo, and we go multifamily. Now we're starting to see some of that drop. So it's interesting to see like the whole market in general make a move on, in one direction, but then when you focus, like I said, on just single family houses in Cape Coral, Fort Myers, and North Fort Myers, we've actually gone up this week, even though the median sales price in general has gone down when you factor all properties. Definitely something we're going to continue to keep an eye on. If we see a couple more weeks trending down, we're definitely probably going to see the buyer's market continue through the first part of this year until, the buyer volume overtakes the seller volume, and, we get more buyers coming in, whether through interest rate drops or through, just more people wanting to be in the area. Whatever the case is, we're definitely paying attention to that. But like I said, definitely a little bit weird that the single family sales price is going up and the all sales price has gone down that substantially. Closed sales, we're down in closed sales this week as well. So we're going to check out the new listings and the sold properties here in a moment and the pending sales. But if you're a seller, this is definitely not the greatest news for you in the world. Last week we had 150 closed sales. This week we're down to 89. If we look last year around this time, it's very similar kind of price action. It's slow even through, January, and then February, March, we really start to see a lot of activity through April. But again, just like with the median sales price, we're really going to want to pay attention to this, because if we start to see these closed sales continue down, we see new listings continue to rise, pending sales continue to drop, we're going to, continue to be in a buyer's market. Just pure supply and demand. There's way more supply of houses for sale than there is demand of buyers. So the fact that only 89 houses closed in the last week is definitely concerning to me there. Percentage of list price received, this has gone down a tiny bit as well. We're at about 95.4%. So you're looking at about a 4.6% discount from whatever your current listing price is. Percent of list price received, basically just the reverse, like I said, 4.6%. Percent of original price received, this is a good one just to look at. It tells you if sellers are pricing more on the money from the start, or if they're still having to go through multiple reductions. This to me indicates at a 91.7% of original price received this indicates to me that the sellers are definitely pricing it more where it needs to be directly from the start. They're not coming up with any problems or anything like that, or they're not overpricing it to then have to do a bunch of adjustments on the way down. They're just in the range that it needs to be right away. And now they're looking at about 92% of the original price they're going to get. Maybe these stats show that they're still doing about a 3% drop or so to get to that, new listing price, to get the 5% drop. But we're definitely, seems like sellers are, definitely being more realistic ever since June and starting to price, more in accordance with what the market is now. Percent closed above list price. This shouldn't vary much. Yeah, there shouldn't be too many of these. But this is, potentially someone's asking for extra for like a really well-priced listing. Someone's asking for closing costs or a credit or something like that. Percentage of cash sales. This is an interesting one to check out as well. So this going up to 47% kind of makes sense why we saw the single family median sales price up and why we see this up. That to me signifies that most of the sales that we saw in the last week were snowbird sales, probably either second houses, vacation houses, new primary residences, but a lot of these are going to be nicer luxury houses, single family houses with a pool off the water, or golf access houses with a pool, obviously golf access on the water, but those houses, 500, 600, 700, even million plus for some of the really, really, really nice options, especially new construction, golf access. That's seeming like, kind of where we're adjusting at right now. It still seems like the people who are getting mortgages and the more traditional kind of sales are still struggling with pricing and insurance and affordability and all that kind of thing. Insurance is definitely, leveled out, but obviously the home prices are still pretty expensive in terms of where the interest rates are at. So it's just not as affordable for, the average person to buy. But this definitely signifies to me houses are still selling. It's just a slightly different market. It's that snowbird market. People who have either worked their whole life, saved their money, maybe they sold their house up north, moving down with cash. But it's a more luxury market at the moment, and it's a higher percentage of cash sales. So that's probably why we did see, the median sales price dip a little bit. Like I said, it's still a little bit harder for average, regular buyers to get a mortgage with the rates and with the prices. But if you've got the cash, you've been waiting to move to Cape Coral your whole life, houses are at a 15-20% discount than they were 2 years ago. You're like, let's do it. Let's make it happen. Just, get the house that I want to get. So that definitely kind of, makes a little bit more sense to me going through this now. List to close days. We'll just go ahead and check this out real quick as well. 84. So this definitely to me shows that, again, like we have briefly mentioned, sellers are pricing a little bit more aggressively from the start. Definitely pricing, in more of a range that they need to be in instead of chasing the market down, doing constant reductions, that kind of thing. So this to me, we usually look at about a 30 to 45 day closing timeline after you have a contract. So this is about a 45 to 60 day on the market time. I believe we can actually check that out as well. Days on markets. Yeah, 41, so that's actually better than I was thinking. So an average 41 days on the market. As we can see, this is trending down as well. So personally, I think that that's going back to the percent of original price received and percent of listing price received being better. Sellers are definitely just being a little more realistic right up front, pricing where their house needs to be. In turn, they're getting a higher list to sale price ratio, and they're also getting a lower average days on the market. New listings, we're going to check this out because I'm curious to see so this is definitely concerning. Typically at the beginning of the year, as you guys see last year, from the 1st to the 11th, we had a pretty big spike in new listings. This year wasn't as bad, but there's definitely about 200 more listings than there was December 22nd and about 150 more listings than there was January 3rd. And we are not really seeing that correspond with pending sales. Okay, maybe we are. Where were we looking at earlier? The closed sales. So the closed sales is still trending down, but this new pending sales is actually definitely Good news. So the closed sales are still down, but at least new contracts are getting entered. So the new listings are definitely seeming like they're getting accounted for. So this new listings chart and this new pending sales chart seem to be corresponding fairly well with each other. So as we've seen, the new listings hit the market on the 1st. We've also seen a new surge of buyers jump in the market as well. So definitely indicating more of a balanced market there. Total inventory, we barely got a spike, which is awesome. I was kind of concerned after seeing that new listings that we were going to have a bigger spike there. So that's remained relatively steady. The supply of inventory is not going to look great this year or this week because the closed sales was only 80 something. So this is basically the amount of active listings divided by the amount of closed sales, which is this 52-week number. So that's not very good. The NAR balanced range is between like 22 to 30 weeks of inventory on the market. We're definitely a lot higher than that now. The absorption rate is basically the inverse. So this is the percentage of active listings on the market divided by the number of sales, and that's your absorption rate. So this is the percent chance that you guys have to sell if you're a seller in this current market. Average NAR balance range, they have it at about 3.3 to 4.5, 4.6-ish. So we're at 1.9 right now, so we're definitely well outside of that range. Pending inventory, this is definitely an interesting one we want to check out as well. So as we've been noticing for the last little bit, these pending sales have remained relatively steady. They dropped off a little bit. This week went up, but we are seeing some of these houses take longer to sell for whatever reason, whether they're short sales, investors, wholesalers that haven't been able to close, whether it's people with a second house that they got to sell, home sale contingencies, those kind of things. It's definitely seeming like there's a lot of inventory marked as pending right now, but when we go back to the closed sales, not all of it's closing. So we're definitely, the pending inventory is trending up, but the closed sales is trending down. So we're definitely going to want to see a reversal of that closed sales if you're hoping to see prices continue to go back up. Unsold listings, we've got 106. So definitely unsold listings are a little bit lower as well. Definitely seems like, like I mentioned briefly earlier, sellers are pricing better from the start, being a little more realistic with everything. And that's definitely, preventing a lot of expired listings at the moment. So yeah, that's about it. If you guys have any questions about any of these stats, what they mean for you in your specific scenario, let us know. We're here around the clock to help you guys, whether you're buying or selling, give you a free custom home valuation analysis. I will custom do it. Just send me your address, any recent upgrades, updates, features, all that kind of thing. I'll make you guys a video just like this, going over your property, going over recent sales, going over a recommended sale range for you guys, and get that over to you guys. Our team also does free CMAs. We do, free listing appointments as well, free strategy sessions. If you're looking to buy, we do free buyer consults, free area information. We've got tons and tons of other content on our channel as well. So if you guys have any questions about anything, would like to set up a tour on any houses that you've seen recently in our home tours, just general market questions about you and your specific scenario. Like I said, maybe you guys want to go ahead and start the pre-approval process, see kind of where payments are at and what you can afford. Now we've got rates dropping a little bit. That's definitely an option for you guys. So like I said, feel free to reach out to us whenever you guys need us. We're here around the clock. Click the like button, leave a comment, click all the links in the description to reach out to us. And like I said, if you guys have any questions at all, here around the clock to help you guys. We'll see you later in the week for some more home tours. I'm going to start to try and get some more like in-studio educational videos and stuff there as well for you guys this year. So lots of cool things coming, but thank you guys all for watching, and I will see you all later in the week for another video and next week for our next market update. Later, y'all. Have a good one.